because far from tales of nobility or daring do, what the former Pointless presenter unearthed were ancestors shackled by such grinding poverty that they were never able to change their lot in life. Generation after generation of hard work, as laborers and soldiers who ended up in the workhouse, and I imagine this is the story of most families, and it doesn't get told that often, said Osman. I wasn't expecting to feel quite so sad at the waste of people who are born into poverty, unable to get themselves out of it. On screen he becomes emotional when he remembers his beloved grandfather, Fred, whom Osman called his perfect male role model growing up in the absence of a father, celebrating his graduation from Cambridge University. My granddad got into grammar school but he couldn't take the place because they had no money, so he left school at 14 and joined the army, said Osman. He would have loved to study, he knew the route out of poverty was education. I'm grateful that I'm at the end of that line, but it's just made me really look at the world around us differently. Further back in his family, Osman discovered forebears who endured poverty, disease and death, one generation lost 8 children to smallpox, and a smuggler who was involved in a grisly murder which gripped Regency Britain. The contrast could not be greater between them and their descendant, the TV star turned author, all 6 feet 7 inches of him, who is riding high after his debut novel, The Thursday Murder Club, sold more than 1 million copies. Steven Spielberg has bought the film rights to it. The follow-up, The Man Who Died Twice, was one of the fastest-selling novels since records began, and stats-wise Osman is now up there with Dan Brown and J.K. Rowling. Osman, 51, recently revealed his engagement to glamorous Doctor Who actress Ingrid Oliver. The pair were friends until last summer when romance blossomed and Oliver, 44, moved into Osman's newly renovated home in Chiswick, southwest London, in October. He has previously dated jazz singer Sumuddu Jayatulaka and Absolute Radio host Emily Dean. Last month he announced that he was quitting the BBC daytime quiz show he helped create, and has presented with university friend Alexander Armstrong since 2009, to focus on his writing. When he, his wife and mother were shown a dead body in an alleyway called Lover's Walk, they turned detective to solve the crime, mirroring the plot of The Thursday Murder Club about a group of amateur sleuths who live in a retirement village. As a key witness in the murder, Gabriel was called to give evidence at the trial at Lewis Crown, then Assizes, court of the dead woman's husband, a violent wife-beater who was found guilty and hanged. Has the discovery inspired Osman to write a period whodunit? I would love to, he said, and it's interesting because Gabriel is the one that's focused on, but he investigated it with his mother, and she sounds like the one who knew what was going on. His family tree has certainly provided him with some inspirational material in the form of his 4x great-grandfather Gabriel Gillam, a poor fisherman who lived in the slums of Brighton and turned to tobacco smuggling to make ends meet. But of course it's Gabriel, as a man, not his mother, who is called to give evidence. So yes, it feels like a good forum for a work of social history and crime, said Osman, who knew nothing of the real-life murder that became a notorious case in Regency Britain before being told about it on camera. The TV personality grew up just outside Brighton and spent much of his childhood at his grandparents' house there. To discover that ours was one of the very first fishing families of Brighton is lovely, and makes me feel that I fit into a community. Nobody really travelled, is the truth, and living as I do in London, it's about as far north as anyone in my family has been for 200 years, Osman chuckles. Aside from his geographical roots, What he recognized in his ancestors was a pattern of hard graft, something he says he has inherited. It made me understand that my family is a very strong community-based working-class family who believe in hard work and education. I can see that stretching way back. Whatever it is genetically that has allowed me to do television and write, no one else has ever had the opportunity in my family. I'm the first one to be able to do whatever I want, and I hope I haven't wasted it, for their sakes. Osman was 9 when his father, David, split with his mother, Brenda, whose home in a Sussex retirement village was the original inspiration for the setting of the Thursday Murder Club. Brenda struggled financially, going to teacher training college before getting a full-time job to make ends meet. Raising Richard and his older brother, suede bass guitarist, Matt, was a challenge. Osman is estranged from his father and stopped researchers on Who Do You Think You Are? From investigating David's side of the family. It's not a snub, him not making a point, it's just that I did this for my family, all of whom wanted to find out who is in the family, and I just don't know that side of the family, Osman said. With my TV producer's head on, I know that I'm going to get emotional about my side of the family because they're my people, but on my dad's side, it's one step removed from me and I'm not sure I would have felt it in my heart. While at secondary school in Cookfield, north of Brighton, Osman regularly contributed to a Sunday evening music show on BBC Radio Sussex. In 1992, he graduated with a degree in politics and sociology from Trinity College, Cambridge, where he met Alexander Armstrong, who read English. Osman began his broadcasting career producing game shows including Deal or No Deal and the Channel 4 comedy panel game 8 out of 10 Cats. He was the creative director at TV company Endemol UK, and his other credits include Whose Line Is It Anyway?, Total Wipeout and the game show 24-Hour Quiz. In 1999, Osman created and wrote the Channel 4 sitcom Boys Unlimited with David Walliams and Matt Lucas. He said the will to win that attracted him to game shows was honed by childhood contests with his granddad, who made up games to entertain the family. We would also play Ludo and in later years, Trivial Pursuit, and he would always have a crossword and be watching Countdown. He had the same competitiveness that I have. Continuing the family detective theme, Grandad Fred eventually became an inspector in the West Sussex Constabulary, which put policing in Osman's DNA. If I hadn't been in television, I would have been a copper, Osman says on screen. Fred was the model officer despite getting on the wrong side of the law in his youth, as his grandson discovered in the program. Just out of school, Fred stole a bike and was ticked off by the magistrate at his court case. 4 days later he joined the army as a signaller, said Osman. Despite Fred's achievements, including attaining the rank of regimental sergeant major during a distinguished tour of duty in India in 1944 as a signalling instructor, Osman regrets his grandfather's lack of opportunity and says too little has changed. People have always blamed the poor for their poverty, and we think after a rush of social mobility we're out of it. But in 200 years' time, there'll be somebody looking back at their family in the 21st century, saying, they were born into poverty and they died in poverty. It's not fashionable to say it, but I'm a great believer in hard work and luck, but most people do not have the opportunities to achieve in our society, and many hundreds of years later, it's still the case. But, he hastens to add, he is not about to add a political career to his burgeoning CV. I try and help where I can, not politically but socially, and am not someone who thinks that what the world is lacking is more celebrities having opinions. Change takes effort and work and doing things rather than giving your opinion, he said, hinting later that he is planning some sort of charitable effort but won't be drawn on specifics. Osman will continue to host the celebrity version of Pointless, with a rotating cast of TV personalities taking his chair on the regular shows, and his BBC Two show Richard Osman's House of Games, but his future focus will switch to the written word, and enjoying family life. I want to build up a body of work. I want my children to be happy, said Osman of daughter Ruby, 23, and son Sunny, 21, his children from a marriage that ended in divorce in 2007. I want to make a difference and help people, and I want to enjoy life. That life now includes his actress fiancée Ingrid, daughter of Conservative MP Joe Gideon, who will join Osman, his brother, sister-in-law and children when his episode of Who Do You Think You Are? Airs. We're having a little viewing party. My mom is watching with all her friends at the retirement village, said Osman. We're going to see her beforehand and look through all the documents together. It's going to be a lot of fun. Richard Osman's episode of Who Do You Think You Are? Is on Thursday, June 9 at 9 p.m. on BBC One.